Alrighty. So, good morning, everybody. So you're gonna welcome the students, Maureen, or the teachers?
Yes, Edwin is going to do it, okay?
Go.
All right. Well, can I start, Maureen?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
we're ready.
Okay. Sure. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this meeting, and yeah, we appreciate your being here. I am honored to introduce you to today's speaker. His name is Angel Bonilla, and Angel Bonilla holds a master's degree in teaching English to speakers of other languages from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. At the University of Illinois, he taught English to Asian and Latin American undergraduate students. Angel also holds a licenciatura or licentiate from the University of Costa Rica in teaching English as a second language. At the UCR, he taught students majoring in English as a foreign language, reading, writing, and English for special purposes courses and cross-cultural communication. At University of Texas at El Paso, UTEP, Angel completed an intensive academic program for teachers of English from Central America, CAT program. This was an SIT program hosted by University of Texas at El Paso. At the Costa Rican North American Binational Center, Angel coordinated the academic unit overseeing all of the English programs and the ESP courses for the business program. Angel is currently the academic coordinator at Macmillan Education, overseeing Central America, Panama, and the Caribbean. And we have him here today, so welcome, Angel. We are looking forward to listening from what you have to tell us.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you, Maureen, for the invitation. It is my pleasure, again, to be with you today. Let's call this a conversation. So let's take it from that side of the line. It's going to be a conversation in which, when we started this conversation with Maureen, it was a brainstorming process into not only how to keep students motivated towards what they're doing, which is mainly studying at this point in time for some of you, but for some others, it might be studying and working simultaneously. So today, I guess I don't need to convince you how important English is, but I just want you to see some other aspects and areas within the process that you may need to be fully aware of, because when you finish the program, that is what the employers will be looking into, and you need to display those skills. So let's begin with the presentation. And in the chat box, talk to me in the chat box first. I just want you to write down over there or type down a number. And let's say if you're about to graduate in 2 years time, 1 year time, 3 years time. So type in a number, just a number, so that I have a better idea how much time you need to go for in the process. And then I know somebody else is going to be helping me read those numbers.
So we have several students saying they wrote 3 mainly. Nicole Alvarez said 5.
Okay.
Alexa 3. Poet 3. Casey 3. Fiorella 5. Melida 5. Several with 5.
Pretty much that is the average, right?
3 and 5. Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Do we still have the link in the chat box, Jensu?
Yes.
Okay. There is a link in the chat box that I want you to follow, because in there, either don't pay attention to the link that you see on the screen, just pay attention to the one that is in the chat box. Over there, I want you to write down, once you get in there, you click to the plus button that is to the right bottom hand side, And I want you to write, if possible, what do you think the main challenge you will find in your field? What will that be? What do you think is the main challenge you will find once you graduate? And I want to see, let's say, all of those words or expressions that you will type in there. And I'm gonna.
We have a comment in the chat box.
Okay.
It says, finding a good job.
Extremely important, okay? Let's see what else they have to say about it. Don't be shy, guys, okay? This is not a quiz, okay? Pretend that, you know, your teachers are not here. Just pretend you're chatting with somebody from outside, somebody who's gonna be giving you eye openers on the challenges of tomorrow. Just see it that way. No more comments than that, Jensu?
One more wrote, I think that finding a job is the challenge.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, and I was expecting, let's say, to have a long list, let's say, with different points of view in there, right? Not only the right job, but also an attractive, you know, salary, which is extremely important. Okay, but also the right company and or the right setting or institution or the venue where you want to put into practice that you're learning, that you're developing. But let's stop with the typing, teachers, and I want to go into my next slide because from the few answers that I gather, I see that there is still a whole lot of information that you're not seeing that it is important for you to see. Okay. And that is because those of you who wrote that you're going to be graduating in 2 or 3 years' time, maybe you're not fully aware of what is going to happen in that time. And with this slide, I want to show you that, again, knowing English or being able to communicate effectively in English is not going to be the key to find that right job, as you put it in the activity. You need to be able to display some other skills, okay? And those other skills are the ones the future employers, the people that will interview you, the people that will be next to you will want to see you display. You know, being able to analyze, okay? Being able to evaluate. I don't want to call it just critical thinking. It is simply the possibility to take information or to gather information and be able to get to the root of it in a very objective way. And that is what your teachers ask you whenever you are doing an oral presentation, okay? Analyze what is it that you want to say. Before you write a composition, you have to, you know, gather info, sources, data, and facts, and, you know, convince your teacher that let's say, piece of writing, that composition, that essay, it is not something that you memorize, that you took from some different place and just type it up on a different paper and gave it to the teacher. So again, if you decide to end up teaching, if you decide to end in the tourism industry, or if you end up in a different walk of life, these are the top 10 skills that you need to display. Again, being able to analyze, okay? Being able to learn, be an autonomous learner, be able to find information, to be able to develop strategies to better yourself. Because from the classroom, yes, you develop strategies, yes, linguistic skills mostly, and you develop strategies to be better listeners, better writers, better readers. But once you go out, you don't need to display that. You need to demonstrate that you are able to do that effectively with whatever, let's say, task that you're given. Being able to tackle complex, let's say, problems. Teaching, if you decide to go for teaching, I mean, just COVID gave us the possibility to get into a extremely new arena, new path that nobody was an expert on. Teachers had to reinvent themselves. And even though we were able to, deliver classes online, we had to learn many things on the way. How to get the students engaged, how to get you interested, and how to make sure that we are double checking on the progress, and so on and so forth. This is again the list, and this is not something that I invented, let's say. It is something that was published. Let me get this out of the way. I'm gonna hide this part. Yeah, doesn't want. Well, let's keep
We
it
have a big list now on Padlet.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Now maybe they got inspired with this. Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful. So if you decide to go, I'll have you read that in a little while, Jensu. If you're looking, let's say, for a job again in the teaching field, and if you're going into the transnational arena with transnational companies, and or if you even want to go to a call center, be the manager at the human resources office, this is what they're going to be asking you to display. Okay, so no longer it is, what is your name and tell me a little bit about yourselves. No. The challenge will be, show me that you know how to do it. This, again, it is what has been displayed to be effective as of 2025. And those of you graduating maybe after that, 2026 and 2027, you will have more challenges on your shoulders. Okay, so teachers, students, whatever you teachers ask you to do in the classes, when they ask you to think, analyze, evaluate, and they ask you to reconsider, it is not simply because they want to. It is because, the main responsibility we have as teachers is to make sure that you are well-rounded and that you're ready to face the challenges, in the real world. Jensu, can you help me out with some other comments in there, please?
Sorry, it's teacher Daniela.
I can help you.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, whomever is in the Padlet, let's say, page, not to get out of here, help me out with reading some of the comments.
Some of the comments say, have an excellent linguistic skills to find a job, work with another culture, being able to cover all my needs and wishes with a good salary, achieve a high level of English and a good job. Get a job without experience is the hardest part.
Yeah.
To be satisfied with what I have learned and to accept the present. They want to be good workers, talk to native speakers without feeling nervous, to be happy with my major.
Yeah,
those are
definitely.
pretty much
Beautiful, thank you. And I'm going to take up on the last and the previous to the last. That to be happy has to do with the social and emotional aspects of the entire process. We teachers also have to be, emotionally balanced sometimes. The level of frustration we feel in our classes is sometimes high. You saw that at the beginning, nobody wanted to participate, and we had only a couple of comments in there. But later on, you jumped in and you started participating, because we understand that also on your side, this sometimes creates a lot of anxiety, okay, stress, and all of that. But again, it is natural. And being happy with what you have studied and satisfied with what you have learned. Let me tell you something. If you're not happy with what you have learned, maybe it is because you haven't put the amount of effort you had to in the process. And maybe what you're doing is towards the end, you're trying to put together everything that you maybe didn't give emphasis to, and you're trying to balance it out. And it is difficult. And that is the reason learning is such a process, a beautiful process. And I tell you, because I'm a chemist. And when I decided to go for languages and English specifically, not because it was easy, and it was because I found in English the venue or the window to get to do many other things I couldn't do before in the field that I had previously chosen. All right, but I'll get back to that in a little while. So let me continue with the next slide in here. Since you need to be ready for that world that you don't know just yet what is it going to look like, you need to develop those strategies and abilities, strategies, techniques to keep on learning, to be better, and to respond to the requests and demands of the company that you're going to work for. And I know that we give a lot of emphasis in the classes whenever we use English to keep in mind, the culture. And sometimes it is a culture of, let's say, the Costa Rican culture. Sometimes it is the American culture. But we now in Costa Rica have so many companies, settled down that you may end up working for a different company. So just to give you an example, teachers, when I was studying, never in my wildest dreams, I, it crossed my mind that I was going to be working for a company that is based in Germany, working for a company whose main branch is in England. And, I envisioned myself at that point in time working at a language institute, teaching, which I love to do, but it was that. Uh, but later on, again, I saw many windows opening, and I went and grabbed the one that I thought I was ready for. And this is what you guys have to do. So don't be conformists, okay? Always be look for the best. They say sky is the limit. So aim for and shoot for the highest one of the goals. And again, if you're there, do your best once you're there. So we need to be ready for a global world, to be a global citizenship, to be ready. You gotta be ready as a global citizen and to be ready to work with the global citizenship community, okay? So this is why those top 10 skills that I show you a little while ago are the ones that in demand transnational companies are looking for, and they are emphasizing, and they say, if we go to any of the countries, this is what we want to see in our employees. But besides that, learning English is extremely important and useful, and it's going to be the best of the tools you have because it is the most spoken language around the world. And this is, again, true information taken from research, guys. So this is not, again, something that I just made up last night before this presentation. So we need to understand that as the world moves around, and as the world revolves, and as communities get closer, and I say communities because I don't want to say countries get closer, and they move to different places because of they see there the conditions for their companies or for the services they provide. So English, and it is not just be able to speak beautiful English, okay? Because some of you in the Padlet road being able to communicate effectively. You will see that throughout my presentation, there are some other aspects also to be considered, all right? But keep in mind that you must say, Angel, will Mandarin catch up? Will that be the language of the future? Maybe. And maybe yes, and maybe not. But and then I'll get back to that in a little while, all right? So not only English is the most widely spoken language, but also you need to consider that if you need to fly as a kite, if you need to reach the heights, you need to consider other aspects, okay? So for example, English is one of the key subjects of the 21st century, let's say, a curriculum. So either English, reading, or languages in general. Okay, arts is the second, let's say, area that people should be looking into. But again, it is not just arts. You gotta be, if you go for that, let's say, area, you gotta be bilingual. You gotta be fluent. You gotta be fluent in both languages. Excuse me. If you go for mathematics, again, it is not just math. You gotta be able to juggle up to, be able to put together, yes, the concepts of math, being able to play around with numbers, which again is beautiful to work with numbers, by the way, but also it is, if you want to see yourselves in a different scenario, then you gotta go for other languages. In this case, English will be the first door for you to do beautiful things in your future, students. And again, the rest, it is just for you to have an idea. So if you're already married and you have kids and you have children already studying, maybe you want to invite them to consider any of those subjects for the future. Okay, why is so? You might be wondering or asking yourselves. It is because even though there are a whole lot of people that are able to communicate in English, okay? Yeah, according to these figures, it is 1,130 million native speakers of English. 92% of the employment opportunities will require you to do, let's say, to be, again, at any of those levels. B2 being, I guess, the minimum. C1, the ideal. And we know that as students, it happened to me when I graduated, I was, maybe in speaking, I was here, maybe in reading, I was here. So the intention, the call for you to be autonomous learners, it is simply to reach and to find out those resources and those opportunities outside of the classroom to balance it out, to have a more homogeneous, let's say, development of the language, that you're not only able to understand, what Maureen says, what Edwin says, what Sensu says, and what your professor says in the classes, but you're able to interact with whomever comes across, or, your path crosses with. All right. So just keep that in mind. So don't stay for the minimum, always, go for the best. So giving you more information on why English is so important, let me move on to the, let's say, not only the how it is spoken or who speaks it, let's say, that language. In this case, is by natives. And we go back to Mandarin. And then that is the reason when I ask you, Angel, shouldn't we looking into Mandarin then and not English? All right. So one thing is the language that is most widely spoken or more frequently used. But we have to see, let's say, in what scenarios and in what contexts that language is used. At least in Central America and in Latin America, still, in some countries, Mandarin is a requirement, okay? If you go to, for example, Colombia, and if you go to Ecuador, we have a huge community of Asians in there because they retire. And then, the businesses they have set up over there require people not only to know English and Spanish, but also Mandarin. All right. And of course, our beautiful language of Spanish is extremely important around the world. But this is just for you to have info as to, again, the language that is widely spoken by natives. Okay. But if we looked into, let's say, non-natives using another language, going back to English, it is, let's say, what we need to pay attention to. All right. So those are the figures and the numbers of individuals using English. And sometimes, let's say, it is easy to say, well, if I know English, I'm going to be able to find a job. Some of you said it was not easy, or it's going to be difficult or challenging. Just imagine that if you're calling, let's say, let's pretend that you're working for Procter & Gamble and suddenly your paycheck had a problem, okay? Any idea in the chat box? Write it in the chat box. Any idea as to what country you need to dial or what country you need to reach for and have that conversation about your paycheck? Just a wild guess. Write in the chat box, what country do you think you'll need to go to fix an issue with your salary? And whomever is behind the chat box, you can help me out with the first country that comes up.
Canada.
Canada.
By
okay.
Obed Herrera.
By Obed. Okay. Okay. Obed. Costa Rica is the place. Okay. So they will reach, from India, from the UK, from Ukraine, from Poland or Sweden, any place where that company is set up, if they have an issue with, payroll, they need to call Costa Rica. So we need to be ready to understand those accents. We need to be ready to, communicate effectively with those people. And again, it is not just English. It is, solving problems, because that's what the client has. He has a problem with the paycheck, and English is not the point. Through English, you gotta solve a problem they have. So just imagine if you need to go back to India, if you go work for Amazon, or you have an issue with, fraud, or you need to get the fraud unit of Amazon, you need to go call India and be able to communicate effectively with somebody over there. So again, this is just to have an idea where English is used and how English will be used and how flexible you gotta be when in the classroom and in the learning process. Okay. And again, the exercises and the activities that teachers pose and the tasks that you embark on want to simulate, then they want to recreate, they want to get you closer to that real world scenario. All right, but some other issues we need to consider just in case, okay? This is not it. Some other issues or points we need to ponder over here, it is that if you go to the web, okay, so this is, let's say, the percentage, I'm sorry, this is the language that is most widely used when an article is published. So you're going to find information that is more predominantly in English. So 27.3% of whatever you find is going to be in English. And then, of course, I don't need to read the rest. You can see it for yourself. But again, it is just drawing your attention to that, okay? So when I say to the best, aim for the best, shoot for the highest of the possibilities. Don't be a conformist. All right. So it is not being able to take a test and pass a test. It is not being able to get a 7 or whatever is the minimum passing grade. No. You gotta pass it with flying, colors. Yeah, I always told my students at the university, if you take a test, or if you answer one of my tests or exams and you get a 7, that means that you don't handle, that you don't master 30% of what you should. And if from one level to the other, let's say if the first year, the average passing grade was 7, and the second year, the average passing grade was 7, it means that you don't know 60% of what you should. Take it to a different level, teachers, students. Imagine a doctor. Imagine a doctor who is studying, and throughout his career, he passes all of the courses with a 7. He graduates and he's a specialist. Let's say he's a brain surgeon. Will you go and have that specialist operate on you? Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. So, because again, you know that he's not the best in the field, and that is what employers look for, the best in the field. And that's what you gotta do, okay? So one more piece of information for you to consider. If you go for the articles, published in general, not necessarily on the web, and if you take it by language, again, most articles are published in English. And then we need to be able to read that. And sometimes it is easy to read when you take reading at the level of decoding the words. Okay, because that's what happens with little kids. They read a sentence and they read, for example, whatever. I like apples, for example. They can decode each one of the words, but they do not understand, they cannot internalize the power of that, let's say, statement. And that is why, again, my invitation is always to those extra skills, to those additional skills that you need to develop, being critical, being a critical thinker, being a thinking person, okay? It is not that I'm underestimating you. No, 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 not at all. Please don't take me wrong. But I'm trying to, from my years of experience, my gray hair that you can see, and the places that I've been to, and whenever I had to hire somebody, either to help me out or to work in the company that I work for, I had to always consider who's the best candidate for the company, for the department, okay? And sometimes we get people with beautiful English, native-like, better, than my level of English. But they're not able to work in teams. They're not able to solve problems. They're not able to find information to improve, let's say, the abilities they have. Okay, so that is my call for you today. One more piece of information that I have for you. Okay, if you take into account what the UNESCO says, take a look at this. You're gonna be surprised by this piece of information. Okay, those are the books or the material that is published by other countries. And China, of course, exceeds, I would say, the amount of publications the US has. But guess what? Those books published in China, they're not in Chinese, they're in English. All right, because they want the world to find that information. We want that information to be available to anyone, not just their community. Even though the culture, the Asian culture, it is very tight. This is business, and they need to make sure they're present on the face of the world. One more piece of information for you. It sounds maybe inconceivable for some of you, but yes, although we have a lot of language English users or English speaking people, there still be more than 2/3 of the world's population in the near future that will not be able to communicate in that language. So what I'm saying to you, you're privileged, and we are privileged to be able to communicate in this language. And I feel privileged, again, coming from the countryside, because I was born in the countryside. I was born in Guanacaste. So yes, I'm a country fellow. And again, when I said to you, never in my wildest dream, I thought I was going to be in a company like this. All right. And I'm proud for what I have accomplished. And you should be proud for what you can accomplish pretty soon if you put your head to that. Okay. One more piece of information for you to keep on working and doing your best and trying hard in your classes. It is because you may be asking yourself at this point in time, so Angel, what else can I do? If my professor goes this far and, helps me this way, what else can I do? Okay, talk to me in the chat box. What do you think you can do to better yourselves, to improve, the abilities and the skills that you already have? Surprise me. Go ahead. Don't be shy. Type it up in the chat box and then somebody will help me read those comments.
Okay, we have some comments now.
Okay, go ahead.
Braylan said, set goals. Carlos Morales, speak English in public. Andre Montero said, practicing without fear about making mistakes.
Sure.
Mhm. so far.
Yeah, and I guess you might be shy to type it up because you don't want to make mistakes when typing it up in the chat box and everybody will see the typo. But maybe you're here, okay? My intention is here. I want you to think and, you know, play that movie. What else can I do? You know, what is in my hands that I'm not using, that I'm not doing, that I could be, let's say, taking advantage of? Do we have any other comments? If not, we move on.
No, not so
No?
far.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of pointers in here. And here it is, before I give you those pointers, this is a survey that transnational companies were given when looking for an, you know, they don't call it necessarily an employee. They say somebody to join the team when looking for a team player in their departments. Therefore, those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, they don't mean anything. I use those numbers because I want to have a sequence on the conversation that I'm having with you guys. Okay, so I want you to choose one of those numbers, the one that you consider to be the most important, and I want you to type it up in the chat boxes. Okay. So what do you think the companies said in this survey? What did they establish to be the most important element to consider when finding an element to join a company?
We have some answers
Let's go
by
for that.
Rachel, Karen, Edwin, Alexa. Most of them say number 3.
They say number 3. All right. Beautiful. All right. So as a teacher here, I'm happy to show you this because I'm going to show you that you're wrong. Okay, I'm going to show you to the right the percentage. Okay, and the intention is not to show you wrong, but the intention is to make you reflect on your perceptions now and how you should be doing that. Company said a diploma, it is important, but not the only one thing that I will take into consideration to hire somebody. So only 20% of the companies interviewed agreed that diploma was the first, let's say, step in the process. Flexibility to accept opinions and points of view was perceived as, you know, to be extremely important for, you know, 42% of the companies and the companies, I'm sorry, interviewed. And yes, those of you who said number 3, that is what companies look for. They want flexibility. They want proactivity. They want people to be able to come in and join us, but not compared to the last one. Because if you're not able to do number 4, it means that you're not able to learn to the level they want you to learn. It means that maybe it will take them too much time to train you to be a good element in the company. Because there are other people who might have not difficulties, who might have maybe again not the best credentials, but they are willing to learn and they demonstrate that. So I leave you with this, okay, with this information for that to percolate, for you to, if you want to take a picture of that, please take a picture, excuse me, print it out, put it up, I don't know, next to the mirror. So every single time that you wake up and you go to the bathroom and take a shower, you brush your teeth and you comb your hair, you say, yes, I gotta have a diploma because otherwise I wouldn't be competitive. But besides that, I need to also focus on what the companies of the future will be paying attention to. All right, one more thing that I want to share with you. The UNESCO has, let me use an educated word over here. The UNESCO has changed, modified, um, mutilated some of the processes we had in the classrooms and in our programs in the past. Most, let's say, institutions in the past, they wanted to pay attention to this first one element, and they pay attention to how much I know. But as you might have already experienced, teachers and students, sometimes you find people who know a lot, but they are not able to help you, make a progress, discover, learn, and be better at what you want to be. So knowing is not the key. And if you see as the arrow moves upwards, learning to do is the most important. So that's why your professors are not interested in how much grammar you know. They're not interested in how many words you know. They are interested in your ability to write a convincing essay on why I should eat empanadas and not tacos. They're interested in your abilities. You have to demonstrate that you are able to deliver, on speech and convince the audience that your proposal is the best. Again, they want to see evidence of your progress, and they want to see evidence of your abilities. So this is what we're looking for, learning how to do. And that is what you should set your minds on, or your minds to. To the right, we have two other elements, and I didn't include that in the same sequence because these come alongside, this comes, let's say, parallel to the process. You need to learn how to interact with others. And sometimes it is a problem to live in the house we live in, because we have conflict with, a brother, with a sister, with a mother, with a father, with a neighbor, okay? And sometimes people want the world to change and to adapt to himself or to herself. And that's why we have 90% of the people in jail. And that's why they call antisocial, because they want the society to be like they want it to be. And they don't want to follow up the rules of the society. But here, what I'm talking about is that you need to learn to live in working teams. When the teachers and the professors put you in a group to develop a project, okay? To have equal amount of efforts to do your best. And once you are in a company or in an institution, or once you join the workforce, you're able to work with those individuals. And the other one, and the last one, is to be. Okay, you have to be happy, you have to feel happy, satisfied with what you are, with whom you are, and with what you have accomplished. Okay, happy, not satisfied. Okay, you should always go, again, as I said, reach for the highest. I'm gonna pause over here before I go to a point that is close to my or near my closing remarks, to see if there is something that has called your attention in this conversation. One-sided conversation, okay, because you've been writing and typing up information. Anything that caught your attention, anything that you found relevant, anything that you see, gosh, I had never considered that, type it up in the chat box. Talk to me, please, in there. No comments just yet?
No, not yet.
No. Okay. Okay, so
Come on,
that you
guys,
yeah,
participate.
you're too shy. I mean, if
Oh, we
you are
have one. We have
okay,
one.
good.
We have
So
a
that
couple.
for that person, before you read it,
Mhm,
for that first volunteer, I'm gonna
mhm.
send you a dictionary. Okay, I'm gonna send
Awesome.
you a monolingual dictionary, so that you can double check and keep it in your bookcase.
Okay, Lucky Obed Herrera then.
Good. Alright.
He says, getting more skills than just the one studied in class. And another person is asking for repetition of the question. 'Cause maybe they
Oh,
couldn't hear.
yeah.
Mhm.
I said something that caught your attention, something uh, that you saw like, wow, I never imagined that was this way. Something that you found interesting, relevant, maybe you didn't know. That was my question. I guess like too many questions in one. That is the mistakes we make as teachers, you know? Never go for a single question. All righty. So if we don't have any other comment, let me move in there. But before, so let me close a window because there's a construction right next door. And I see some people on the roof and they're noisy. Don't tell anyone, okay, about it. Just give me 20 seconds. All right. Okay, I'm back. So if you decide to go uh, and follow your professor's path and because you were inspired, because you got that motivation, that happened to me. Okay, I found someone among the many professors that I had that, you know, actually I connected with, and he inspired me. He was my inspiration to become a teacher, that I'll say. So if you decide to go for that and you want to go in those steps, you have a big responsibility, okay? And because if you, again, no matter if you just, let's say English teachers, wherever you go, we are agents of change. And if we're not able to change somebody or to invite somebody to change, we haven't done our job. Okay, so we need to inspire. And as a teacher, we need to inspire our students. And if that is so, we need to consider that the reason why you go for breakout groups and the reason why you have to send, audio texts and presentations in an audio format to the teachers, for the professors to evaluate, it is because we need to be digital responsible. You need to be familiarized with that. I know that you might be more skillful than I am, okay, in surfing the web and in finding information, let's say to simply get away from learning. I mean, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is that you use in the social media format, but we need to train our audiences in how to use those tools for learning purposes, okay? We also need to train our students and our fellow co-workers and the people around us on developing those life skills that you might be familiar with. Okay, life skills, critical thinking, creative thinking, teamwork, being able to research. Yeah, those are the basic life skills. But you also need to develop employability skills. And that is the reason I'm making so much emphasis on those other aspects that employers look for, that employers will be paying attention to. Okay. So it is not, I said at the beginning, my example was, what is your name and tell me a little bit about yourself. That was a typical question when you went for an interview. Today, it is, what is your name? Just to confirm that the information that you have on the biodata coincides with you, and then the next question, it is called, or it is stated this way. I want you to share with me one challenge that you had in the previous company. How did you solve it, and how successful you were? Those are the questions that you are asked today. Okay, and we have to be ready for that. Okay, so yes, they're going to be paying attention to how confident you are using English, but they're going to be paying attention to how much of a potential support will you be to the company. You also need to get the students, or whomever you're working with, ready to use and to develop the computer skills they have. And if they don't have any, or if you don't have any, you should start looking into that. Okay, and computer skills is now, let's say, to find Wikipedia and copy and paste. You know, when the professor says, guys, you gotta write a composition on so and so, and the first place you go to is Wikipedia. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about with computer skills. Okay, it is not using the computer. I mean, you can turn it on and find info. It is using that tool as the means, or as a medium of bettering yourselves, and as the means of facilitating the learning process. We also need to develop self-direction. And meaning, what I mean by that, of course, I know that you know the meaning. Self-direction, it is that at this point in time, you should be very clear as to where you're gonna, be putting all of your efforts into. Okay, what is it that you want to specialize on, and what is it that you're gonna do to get there? If you haven't gotten to that point just yet, students, it is a little bit too late. Okay, so get started on that. Start working on that. You need to define that niche where you want to see yourselves. The next one that I already mentioned is about teamwork. No extra explanation needed in there. We all know what that is. And last, not only for those who want to become teachers, but for everyone, you teach sometimes the neighbor, you teach sometimes your younger brother, you teach somebody, your classmate or your colleague. We need to find, we need to find better ways to help people. And that, let's say, category is under, the pedagogy. Okay, so how is it that I can help someone else? And of course, students, we also have professors today in this session. And this specific slide is for them. We need to innovate. We need to challenge ourselves. We need to question how we do it. And we need to find better ways to do it, because our biggest responsibility is you. When I was the coordinator of the practicum, I always told my teachers, I want, the experience to be like this. If I'm on the street and I see a student of mine, I want that student to come to me and say, hi, Angel, so good to see you. It's been a long time. Happy to see me, because I helped one way or another. Okay? Sometimes as students, you go like, oh, no, 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 here comes Angel. I don't want to see him. I don't want him to see me. I don't want to greet him. Okay? And because we didn't have maybe a positive experience. I'm not talking about the grades, because if you have a low grade, it's because maybe you didn't put enough efforts into getting a better one, or you didn't ask for help. Okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this connection, the human connection, finding somebody to help me out. Sometimes, in my class, first year, Second semester, one of the professors said to one of my classmates, Juanita, I think that you should reconsider English or languages. Okay? And I'm being honest with you. Unless you're not being honest with me and have told me what is it that you find difficult or how is it that I can help you. Okay? So that is also the responsibility that we have as, professors in the classes. Just to close my conversation with you today, this is what we need to have right there in the front lobe, right there at the tip of the fingers, as the areas that we need to incorporate in our learning process. You need to be able to do, for you to be able to say, I have learned, you need to have a sense of self-direction. You need to be able to self-evaluate. You need to be able to do things on your own. You need to be aware of your weaknesses and areas that you can grow on. You need to be also careful with the cultural aspects. And culture, I'm not saying about the American culture. No, 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 no. Culture, let's say the culture of my family, the culture in my classroom, the culture in my neighborhood, whatever it is. And then you should be able to work in teams or together with somebody else. And mostly, if you want to keep on discovering and learning more, you need to be able to research. And I laugh again when I say don't use Wikipedia. Okay, that is, when I see that, I immediately give my students a 0 in the job they have created, because that is not a trusted source. All right, so the entire conversation today has been with the sole purpose to heighten that level of motivation, to see you fly, or to see you flying like, the best plane, not like a paper plane that sometimes fly perfectly and sometimes you throw it and it sinks, or, it doesn't fly at all. No, we want, as professors, we're always proud of our students. We want to see the best in each one of them. We polish them as a jewel, and we push you because we know that you're ready. So don't see that as a minus or as a negative aspect. Okay, we push you because we know that you're capable of. Okay, and that is what, again, what drives me in the company that I'm in, motivating, inspiring teachers in this company that has been in the market for 175 years. And I'm going to tell you a secret, and this is not propaganda, because I know that maybe you've read it. If you have, if you read The Jungle Book, Macmillan was the company that first published it, because we wanted to share that with the world. Alice in Wonderland is the first published book in the academia, and it was published by Macmillan. It was our first book. All right, because before that, most information was passed orally. And I like that because it has given me the possibility to learn, to grow, to be better, to share with teachers. I find myself sometimes sharing ideas, and I want to continue doing that. And in case you want to complain, that is my, email address and my WhatsApp number. And it's been a pleasure sharing with you today. And I hope that some of these ideas ring a bell in your learning process. And Maureen and team, please feel free to join in and make a comment if necessary.
Well, we'd like to thank you on behalf of all the teachers and students. Because of your talk, we got to learn a lot that I'm sure that has been very helpful for students today. For example, some of the things that you shared with us, like letting us know the competences that are looking for in the companies for the future that I think they will take into account. And something particularly important, I believe it is, some of the key subjects that you mentioned that people are looking for, that is English, arts, and math are some of the most relevant ones, which indicates this measure is going into the right path because it includes some of those fields. So that is very important, guys. So be motivated about it. And how important it is to have our capacity to learn, which I believe is also very related to the current situation we are living with this pandemic, right? That we've had to be able to learn and manage new things very quickly in order to survive, keeping education going and everything. So that goes along with all our computer skills that we also need to handle. So all those things that you brought to us, I'm pretty sure are going to be very helpful. Thank you very much for your talk today.
Sure.
Well,
Anyway,
okay. Well, Angel, I have to say that there are some specific words that it really make us think a lot about what is going to be our life in the future, especially for our students. And I am really, really very thankful for all your lecture and all your advices and comments that you gave us today. Thank you very much.
sure, you're welcome. And I hope I didn't bore you to death and that you didn't fall asleep.
Not at all, not at all. Thank you so much, okay?
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.